look at this year as an aberration. I got a lot of guys that we've been talking to that look at it that way as well.
There you go, folks. The head ball coach calls the 2024 season an aberration. I'm Parker Thune. That is Jesse Crittenden, and this is Quick Slants on the OU Insider YouTube channel. In many ways, Jesse, Venables is correct. Most people are going to hear that comment, and they're going to interpret it as a comment on Oklahoma's record. And in a certain sense, that's true. But I think the broader reality is that this season is very much an aberration in the sense that Oklahoma will simply never deal with this many injuries again. It's statistically improbable.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, when you think about Parker, one of the things I've been thinking about lately is how we thought about the wide receiver room coming into the year. I mean, we thought not only is it maybe the deepest, most talented receiver room in the SEC. I mean, heck, it could be the deepest room in the country, and that fell apart even before the season began. Yeah, you're never going to see, or it's almost, I don't want to say never, it's almost impossible to see the amount of injuries that OU had, not only at receiver, but at offensive line. I mean, that offense as a whole. And yeah, Parker, I think it stands to reason that if those injuries didn't happen, that the offense wouldn't have been as historically bad as it was. But Parker, here's the thing. You can say that, and it's true that it's an aberration, both in terms of we don't know what this season could have been, and that injury situations like this just don't happen very often. But at the same time, now if you reflect and look at where OU is now moving forward, even if you can say that's an aberration, it's clear that there is so much work to be done. I mean, you've had 6 receivers hit the portal. You've got more portal entries coming forward. And now with all the changes that OU is making to its front office, not to mention the needs that they obviously have in bringing guys to the portal, the instability at quarterback, what are they doing there? You've got a new OC. It's clear that there's just a lot up in the air. So even if you could say it's an aberration, I think you still have to kind of sell to both guys that you're recruiting in the portal and to the fan base as a whole that there's still a lot of work to be done, but we're confident we can move this thing forward, because even if it was an aberration, Parker, that doesn't mean things feel good right now. And it doesn't mean that there's not still a hell of a lot of work to be done over the next few weeks.
And there is a lot to break down on this installment of Quick Slants. Jesse touched on the future, what it looks like for Oklahoma. And obviously the future in many Sooner fans' eyes involves current Washington State quarterback John Mateer. And the expectation for some time has been that he will enter the transfer portal, follow his ex-offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle to Oklahoma, and slot right in as the Sooners' starting quarterback in 2025. Now, Michael Hawkins is still around. Everyone else is out of the picture for the most part. Jackson Arnold is in the transfer portal. He's not coming back. Brendan Zurbrugg is in the transfer portal. He's not coming back. Casey Thompson is finally graduating. He has at long last exhausted his eligibility. And you do have true freshman Jet New coming in from Lehigh, Utah. He's never even been to Norman. Signed with the Sooners blindly earlier this month. So Hawkins is the Lone Ranger for the moment, until or unless something shakes with Mateer. I asked him earlier today about his mindset heading into a competition this offseason with a transfer who is likely to be John Mateer. 2 scholarship quarterbacks right now, obviously for the sake of depth, if nothing else. OU's going to have to bring in another guy, if not 2 more. What's your mindset moving forward beyond the bowl game, just getting ready to compete for the job again?
I love it. I love competition. I feel like that's how it should be. I don't think that it should be no other way. So I'm all about competition. I think we need another guy here. So I'm ready.
So again, Jesse, no names mentioned. I think we all are on the same page as to what probably occurs. Nothing is a sure thing. Nothing is a lock as far as Mateer is concerned. But it's interesting, and it's so characteristic of who the kid is. But to think that Michael Hawkins looks at things that way when you're talking about potentially bringing in the quarterback that led the FBS in total touchdowns in 2024, the kid's just basically like, yeah, bring it on.
I think you have to appreciate Michael Hawkins' mindset, and not only just where it is right now, given everything you just mentioned about the buzz around John Mateer or any other transfer portal quarterbacks. Parker, think about having that mindset after what this year was for him to enter as the backup quarterback to not see any action through the first 3 weeks, then you're thrust into the role in the middle of the Tennessee game with the wide receiver situation the way it is, start the next few games, and then again be sidelined in favor of Jackson Arnold. I mean, that's a lot. That is enough to deal with on its own. Then you throw in this transfer portal noise on top of it. You have to credit and appreciate where Michael Hawkins is coming from. And Parker, when it comes to all of this noise, the reality is, I mean, Brent Venables even said it earlier, they've only got 2 quarterbacks on the roster as of right now heading into next season. Whether that's John Mateer or anybody else, they're going to need to make more moves in the portal. But at the same time, none of those moves should be made with the idea of trying to go get a starting quarterback or just being certain that Michael Hawkins can't be your guy. I think there obviously has to be a quarterback competition. I think Michael Hawkins welcomes that. I think that's part of his mentality. But again, this all factors into the instability of where things are right now, Parker, because what is Oklahoma doing at quarterback? Are they putting all of their eggs in the John Mateer basket? Are they, if that doesn't work, where else are they going? What are the chances are that Michael Hawkins is not only the starter against Navy, which he will be, but also moving forward? There's a lot up in the air. There's a lot of reasons why maybe Michael Hawkins why things could be a struggle mentally. And I think you have to appreciate everything he said today.
Moving ahead, as we focus on the bowl game, December 27th, the Armed Forces Bowl, where Oklahoma will face Navy, Hawkins will get a chance to make his 4th collegiate start and first since that awful South Carolina game on October 19th that the Sooners lost 35-9. Obviously a tough start for Hawkins in that performance. He commits 3 early turnovers on the Sooners' first 3 possessions, winds up getting benched for Jackson Arnold and did not see the field again, save for garbage time for the remainder of the season. But he gets another chance to strut his stuff. Going to be real interesting to see what the wide receiver situation looks like for Oklahoma, because the room is very, very, very thin with all of the portal departures that have occurred. Very realistic chance that the only scholarship guys available for Oklahoma in this bowl game at wide receiver are all true freshmen. 5 of them, to be precise. Jacob Jordan, recently promoted to scholarship. Ivan Carrion, KJ Daniels, Zion Kearney, and Zion Reagans. That may be it for Oklahoma. Then you have some walk-ons, but those are your only scholarship guys that are available pending what happens with Deion Burks and his readiness to perform. But R. Mason Thomas was asked about defending the triple option, which is, of course, a staple at the military institutions and has been for ages. It's anachronistic these days, but it's what those institutions have found effective. It's what Navy continues to run, and it presents a very unconventional challenge that Oklahoma will have to face head on. R. Mason Thomas says he hasn't defended the triple option since high school.
They try to grab your eyes so many directions. They want to go outside. Hats off to Navy, because I haven't played a triple option team since high school, and like our game plan was like, you're not pass rushing a lot, so that you're already mad about that. So it's just like, so it's just really like you're running the ball, and then it's kind of, you can't just, Coach V said it today, you just can't do what you normally do. You just have to play them different. And so hats off to Navy for doing what they do.
Jesse, are the Sooners prepared for this? I mean, obviously they've got athletes. They've got strong defenders. That side of the football in general has been a point of strength for Oklahoma throughout the 2024 season. But facing the triple option attack, that is a unique challenge in this day and age in college football.
Yeah, no kidding. And when you think about it, and we're going to talk about this in a second, but when you think about, I think there's still confidence in this Oklahoma defense that's been one of the better units in defending the run all year. But this is still not going to be a unit that's whole. I mean, it's largely expected that they're going to have some opt-outs, whether that's Danny Stutzman or even other guys that have already entered the portal like Dasan McCullough. So, look, Oklahoma should still be equipped to handle this. They have shown an ability to defend the run, but you don't see triple options very often. I mean, I believe Oklahoma hasn't seen one since they played Army in the Kyler Murray era. So it's been that long. And then when you look at the fact, Parker, that, I mean, this is a Navy offense that has thrown the ball 157 times all year in 11 games. I mean, they're barely averaging 14 passing attempts per game. And when you think about Oklahoma's where they're at right now at wide receiver, Parker, we've joked about it, but this could be the quickest college football game in history. We might have, if you set the over under at passing total passing attempts for both teams at 30 and a half, you might have to bet the under on that. But we've also seen when you don't defend a triple option very often that it's easy to stumble. It's easy to be undisciplined. So it is. Look, I know it's not the matchup that a lot of fans wanted. It's not the matchup you and I wanted, Parker. We had bigger thoughts in mind heading into the season, but it is still going to be interesting from that standpoint.
And our Mason Thomas gave us a clue in his presser earlier today. He said there will. I'm trying to remember what his exact verbiage was. He said, in essence, he referenced opt-outs. And he quickly caught himself and said, if they opt out. But in that passing comment, you hear all you need to know. There's going to be opt-outs. We've reported on one confirmed opt-out at least at ouinsider.com. But Brent Venables was asked earlier today about Danny Stutzman's availability for this bowl game. He did not give an answer. He said it wasn't his to give, but certainly tipped his cap to Stutzman's legacy, in an Oklahoma uniform.
It's not really for me to say, whether or not he's going to play. But how about him being an All-American? And really cool, first team All-SEC in his first year. Really proud and thankful for all the seniors, but certainly the growth and maturity that has taken place with Danny. And to me, having a guy that has a legacy somewhere, I think, comes from making the place better than when you got there. And if he's done something, he's done that.
The non-answer is almost an answer in itself, Jesse. You have to reckon with the likelihood that we have watched Danny Stutzman play his last game in an OU uniform.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention that Danny Stutzman put out a statement on Twitter earlier today as a big thank you to the fan base. Now, obviously, he didn't specify in that he was specifically, he didn't explicitly state he was going to opt out of the bowl game, but you can take that evidence plus everything that Brent Venables said today, I think it's certainly pointing in that direction. And Parker, I think this is one of those things where it's so easy to get caught up in the transfer portal chaos for any team. And then when you combine that with an Oklahoma team that just won 6 games in the regular season for the second time in 3 years, I think it's easy to get caught up in the chaos or the hysteria or the trying to plot forward in terms of what things could look like. And sometimes there's not enough of appreciation for someone like Danny Stutzman, who spent all 4 years at Oklahoma, went through a head coaching change, went through big changes on both sides of the ball, went through a conference change at Oklahoma and stuck through it. So not to say there's not appreciation for Danny, I think there is, but I think this is one of those moments where you can kind of appreciate the human element of it. And I think understand that I don't know if anybody has put more into this program over the last 4 years from a player standpoint than Danny Stutzman. And I think he's a guy, he's earning all kinds of accolades. You can think about where he's going to be drafted here in the next couple of months. And so I do think both his statement earlier and Brent's comments, I think, just reflect an appreciation for Danny and what he's done for the program.
Truly unfortunate that as Stutzman leaves, he will have never had the opportunity to play in a big game. Obviously, OU Texas is a big game every single year, but a big postseason game is what I'm referencing. For a program that has had so much success in the 21st century, it's kind of astonishing to think that Stutzman will leave OU without ever having played in so much as a conference championship game. But obviously, there are many individual greats over the years at Oklahoma who were not a part of winning teams. Martin Chase comes to mind. Cedric Jones comes to mind. James Allen, Damon Parker. You can go on down the list. Cale Gundy is a guy that was at Oklahoma at a time where the Sooners weren't exactly on top of the world, but all of those guys built a legacy for themselves regardless. And Danny Stutzman has certainly done that with his play on the field as well as his personality. And that is a wrap on this edition of Quick Slants. For Jesse Crittenden, I am Parker Thune. We have much to discuss Regarding the portal, we have much to discuss regarding bowl preparation. We will continue to do so on this YouTube channel. Click subscribe if you haven't already. It doesn't cost anything. Just helps us out. And if you are inclined to subscribe at ouinsider.com, you're going to get all the goods, all the portal, recruiting, team intel, not only on football, but basketball as well. Got great softball coverage over there that Jesse heads up. It's going to cost you $8 and change a month. That's all we ask over at ouinsider.com, and you can be a part of a very vibrant online community of Sooner fans as well. So we hope to see you over there. We'll certainly see you back here. Take it easy, everybody.